They're not here yet. Hey, I'm Rob. I'm not so Rob. And we're the Grumplums. Look at me, I'm from Mad Max. I got a fancy haircut. Oh, I'm a Viking that likes to drink from the heart. Oh, look at me, am I floating?
Hey, but what's the villain of it?
It's some dude with mind control.
So you guys ready?
What the hell are you doing, Angela?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Alright.
So,
You gotta give us some Ritalin or something, man. Seriously.
let's get you.
I have no idea.
Let's get you set up,
Alright, alright. Jeez, get back in the hole. Who let you out?
Not fun?
Who let you back in the house?
And let me just adjust the frame.
Bizarre.
Just saying, little herbal supplement goes a long way.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to video 4 of the Shattered Realms.
We get to do the questions today. We have taken your questions under advisement. That's not the word. Fuck.
Over the last
Consideration.
Over the last few days, we've been asking you guys about questions about the campaign, rules, the meta, you know, everything that's in and out of the campaign. I don't think we need any other, introduction.
We're just going to crack right into the
We'll go
questions
right into it.
and just answer them for you guys. We took everything that was posted on the page. We'll elaborate to the best of our ability. If you find that our answer, for whatever reason, is not sufficient enough, you can always private message us as we are being snazzy bitches.
Is this more low?
Yeah.
People are going to think that we're flaming homosexuals.
Totally gay.
Oh my god.
I'd ship it.
Anywho.
So, first question. No, it's the other way around.
Why?
Because it's old to new.
Oh, okay.
So, first question. We're going to leave these anonymous. How long do elves live in our setting? And do they tend towards a more fantastical interpretation, not having normal bodily needs, or the more mundane, fancy humans with pointy ears?
That's a pretty easy one to answer. Traditionally, elves live for a little bit longer than they're specified in the books. We came to the estimate that the oldest recorded elves are 2,000 years old?
Yeah, I think we said just over 2,000.
Yeah, but those elves have not been seen or heard from in quite literally ages.
Oh, it goes before the Unification Wars, when the tumultuous relationship between the humans and the Elven Empire was still in infancy.
Yeah. So, these things it's myths, but there are elves in Magiocratic and Cadian records that are over 2,000 years old. So they live longer.
It should also be stated that they still have some fantastical connection to the Fae. They have ancestry to it, and so they still have that, which explains why many of them attempted to flee into the inner plane of the Feywild.
Yeah.
But, nobody's able to really follow them. A lot of it's conjectured by mages.
A lot of that culture has been lost now, and it's just, there's records of it, but no better than what we have records of, Middle Ages Europe. Same kind of thing. We have information, we have written texts, but we don't have
I was even going to give a
accounts.
more recent example, which is unfortunately Eastern Europe after World War II. You had so many records that the Nazis just decimated. I mean, not to bring up a sore spot, but
no, thanks.
Drink more wine, it's all right.
Yeah. So yeah, they do have that connection to the Fae and to they are nature worshippers in that regard. They have that connection to the land and the spiritual aspect of nature rather than just the physical aspect. They have that as well. They're all about protecting the earth environment. That was one of the big causes of the Unification Wars.
Sure was.
So
the humans were abusing, nature
everything
for resources, and the elves didn't take too kindly to that. But again, you all know about the Unification Wars.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. The next question is simply, what's your universe's class lore?
Make this real quick. Without getting into too much detail of the political, socioeconomical status and structure of Cadus, I'm going to go right through the book. Barbarians, common, particularly in the wastes, yellow zones or red zones. You see them even inside the social structure of Cadus. They're just untrained fighters. Much more common out in the wastelands when you have actual barbarian bands.
A lot of people it's just people who can't afford or choose not to follow arcane arts. It's peak physical performance.
Yeah, that's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Bards. Bards are not really the happy-go-lucky free spirits who, they have such great souls and they can make music. No, a lot of them are actually trained by the Magocracy. Many of them work as, like, field archaeologists.
Field researchers.
Like Indiana Jones, cue his music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. Exactly. Many of them are also actually in the military, using their Valor subclass to work like a bannerman or a drummer boy, exactly.
Inspiring, groups of men and battalions of soldiers to inspire them and rally them through magical means.
But probably the biggest example of Bard in the Magocracy would be lore mages who go outside of the safety of the cities and they go into ruins, they even maybe go into overseas.
They dig up the stuff, they hold it, they're artifact hunters, like you said, Indiana Jones, very literally in the sense, unlike Indiana Jones, this is a world that is just full of artifacts that are really, really, really dangerous and powerful considering the planar wars that more or less necessitated them. As a result, this stuff is out there and any schmuck can pick it up and
get magic powers.
And really powerful powers that cause problems for the structure of the Magocracy. So as a result, bards are more or less the true blue adventuring wizard.
Yeah, I would say if there's any class that really focuses like what makes an adventurer, at least for the mages and the city,
Bard.
Akkadian Bard is a common thing.
Yeah.
We may not call them bards. I mean, for now we will, and I see no reason why we can't keep that term. Maybe it doesn't have the same meaning.
If you guys wanted, if anyone is interested in playing a bard. If you want to fluff it to call them, if you're going to go with, a Nordic angle and call them skalds or dirges or whatever else, or just archaeologists, totally legit.
Fluff, we can change whatever you want. So, bards. Clerics. Clerics are probably the rarest class that you're going to see in this world. When the veil went up, powers went down. It was like flipping off a switch. All but the strongest people to their faith. And in many instances, that's not even how hard you pray or how hard you believe. There's maybe some supernatural reason to it. But by and large, clerics are gone. If you have any clerical powers, you're basically a local celebrity.
I have a clerical power. I can type 50 words per minute.
Oh, God damn it.
We're drinking.
Yeah, you've been drinking too much. Well, it's like, Jesus, there's nothing left. All right, so while there are some clerics in Cadus, many of them are part of the tribunal power structure and thus have more of a administrative role, like basically the Pope of the tribunal was probably a very low-level cleric. But if you wanted to be a cleric, and particularly a level 7 cleric, you're a goddamn celebrity.
Yeah.
Which fits perfectly into druids. Mm-hmm. You're a druid, you're basically a part of ISIS. The Magocracy propaganda has explained that druids are the cause for a lot of the elemental chaos, and that they hate the system, and they hate society, and they hate civilization. It's because of them that the towers went down, and the USS Cole got sunk. Oh, I'm sorry, that's real life. Exactly. You're following my point. Fighters, anybody who's not good at wizardry and who's a part of the military is a fighter. And even those who are good at wizardry, most of the Cadian military are Eldritch Knights.
Yeah.
And it should also be noted that the military and the police are the same exact unit. Those that police the streets are the same people that, should the bell be rung, are going off to war.
Going to war, yeah.
Again, mirroring our own militarized police in America nowadays.
Yeah. Basically, fighters are more or less facilitated the same way barbarians are. They just focus more on skill than pure rage and...
Most fighters that you see in our world, particularly in Cadus, is going to be an Eldritch Knight 9 out of 10 times. When you leave the safety of those areas, obviously then you're going to get into your champions and maybe even a Battle Master.
Too, yeah.
But even Battle Masters are more likely found in Cadus. And
they're tacticians.
Exactly. Kind of like in Valor Bard sense, but almost singular instead of a widespread effect. Yeah. Monks? Monks are relatively common, actually. A lot of monks have replaced the roles that clerics used to play. Instead of in old D&D games where you would have a low-level cleric act like a local priest, now in most instances they're low-level monks. Due to the veil being put up, of course, they've focused their training and their study inward. So they still have the piety and devotion that a normal cleric would, but they've trained themselves in Ways of the Fist, or
But again, much like the stereotypical kind of Asian monk, but with just a European flair behind it. They do that like you said, the whole religious piety, but as asceticism. They do monk asceticism where they forego belongings and some forego belongings and train themselves to perfection and really just hone that in because they lost that divine connection. So they do what most people who are religious try to do, which is just be the best kind of person
Absolutely.
you can be.
It should also be noted that monks are really only common with two of the faiths. They're really only common with the Tribunal and the Cult of the Living Flame. The Old Faith, or Druidic, and a lot of the miscellaneous racial faiths really don't have that kind of structure to become monks.
Yeah. The Old Faiths are so over-encompassing too. You're talking about cultural faiths from region to region and nature deities from here.
Right, but usually I figure Old Faith is mostly just like Druidism. And
but I'm saying it's an umbrella term for many different kinds of faiths that are followed by different people.
Right.
It's not just one old god.
Of course.
That's something else.
Oh. What's after monks? Paladins?
Yes.
Paladins, same as clerics. In fact, they're probably rarer. I don't think anything more needs to be said.
Yeah,
Sea
same
cleric.
thing.
Rogue?
Sea cleric.
Rogues are probably the most common race. Or class. Wow, I made that mistake last time.
Yeah, I made that mistake last time.
Dyslexia. There are rogues everywhere. Inside Cadus, outside Cadus, overseas, in the blue and green zones, due to the rising unemployment because of Forgeborn. Many people who were, unskilled laborers are now thieves or are now pickpockets, opportunists or otherwise.
Yeah, many common people probably have a level or two of rogue.
Yeah,
and obviously
yeah.
trained rogues, i.e., player character rogues, or NPC rogues that you'll encounter that are true rogues in that sense, generally find work as expert criminals or hired muscle, assassins, and other things of that nature. And of course, magic being everywhere, arcane tricksters are not an uncommon thing to run into.
I was just going to say, we actually have, we won't go into specifics. There is a possibility that if you want to be an arcane trickster, you may find employment with the magocracy of Cadus.
Espionage.
Cue the 007 theme. Rangers, who cares? They're terrible. No one's going to play them. They're literally crap. If you want to play one,
Okay.
the Deep Stalker one is good, but the rest of it's garbage.
Real quick. Ignore for 2 minutes. If you're interested in playing a ranger, I'm not going to question you as to why.
I will.
They are, fluff-wise, in the world of Cadus, they are the people who obviously can survive the wilds. They are your guides. They are your Sherpas, as it were, through the particularly nastier areas of Cadian wilderness. Really, by that logic, they are right out the book as described. There's no difference in them. There are few in number because not many people go out that far into the true wilderness.
Nor have that devotion to the land.
No, and that devotion to the land is kind of lost upon them. Some rogue wood elves, some wood elves that might be still around on Cadus would more likely than not become rangers, just for the survivability that they have in the wilderness. But again, rangers, not that imperative to Cadian structure.
Sorcerers. It's a bit of a complexity with sorcerers. A lot of sorcerers are actually available, not if you're Draconic. As we went over with the Dragonborn instance, a lot of sorcerer bloodlines of Draconic heritage are gone. But due to the recent elemental chaos, there's a lot of sorcerers of the wild magic domain. And I guess even a little bit of the storm and the shadow domain as well.
Oh, yes.
Or bloodline, whatever. So if you want to play a sorcerer and you want to be Draconic heritage, you got to give us a good reason.
Culturally speaking, we did go over this in one of the older videos, we just touched on it. There is that sort of a stigma from a wizard high class and a sorcerer high class, where the sorcerer might get a little bit chastised because wizards have to, genuinely learn and read and work for their magic and try it time and time again. Whereas the sorcerer's like, it's in my blood. So there's that little bit of bias.
Fingers.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that to consider as well when developing your character if you choose to be a sorcerer.
Get the Escalade. We gotta get out of here. Warlocks. Warlocks are in a similar boat to sorcerers. When the Veil went up, a lot of connection to the outer planes went down. The exceptions to this are the Feywild, but again, you need a reason to have a connection to there, so it's not like it's an easy thing to do. There's a holy version, which you'll really have to work hard to explain.
Because they don't make a lick of sense.
Nope, sure don't. There's the Great Old One, which is very far-roamy, which, again, is difficult to explain. And then Fiends. Doesn't matter what pact you have, Warlocks are going to need some really clever convincing on your behalf to play them.
Because of the veil. I mean,
Right.
how can you form pacts with extraplanar beings when the veil is up?
When you can't reach them.
Yeah, exactly. There's just no way. So unless you come up with a very clever or unique way that you have made a pact, whether it be someone in your ancestry or...
Or you find an artifact like the Skull of Gul'dan.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
Warcraft.
Exactly. Something like along those lines. Those are certainly ideas to work with, but really put thought into that if you choose to be a warlock, because we don't just want people, oh, I made a pact before the veil. That's
no,
not
you
going to
didn't.
work.
Although, if you do use the Skull of Gul'dan, don't go in the Tome of Sargeras, then it didn't go well.
No,
not at all.
Don't do that.
What's left then? Wizard?
They're everywhere.
Yeah, if you're in Blue City, hey, life is great. You're a part of the ruling class. You're a part of the gentry. Gentry?
Gentry.
You're part of literally the social elite. Congratulations.
You are the
You're
1%.
a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry.
The only specialization that's not very common with wizards is necromancy, and that's due to widespread use of magic technology. Necromancy really doesn't have a purpose. There are some people who are trying to experiment with it to make it do healing and some other new effects, but by and large, the ability to make plagues and raise the undead, it's gone out of favor.
It's lost. To be a necromancer is to be, I guess the best way to put it is to be unfashionable in a fashionable time.
It's to be old-fashioned.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
I follow Zoroastrianism. What?
Yeah, it serves no purpose in Cadian society as a whole. So it's not common.
So, barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, warlock, sorcerer, warlock, wizard?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, okay. With all these classes, nothing is straight up off the table. If you really want to play something, I really want to be a blade singer, or I really wanted to be a Shadowfell sorcerer, just come to us, talk with us, we'll figure it out.
We'll hash that out.
Again, be aware that we have the absolute right to just say no. So,
yeah,
heads up.
It's nothing against you guys. That's nothing against any of your ideas. Just this, you guys are. That's why we're making these videos for you, so you can create characters that both draw from and inspire this world. Because a lot of the ideas you guys have given us, we've incorporated directly into our world and made, large-scale cultural decisions in certain areas based on what character we have had come up. So, if we say no, just move on to another idea.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Next question. Could I have a refresher about how the gods, feel free to go into detail, have been cut off from humanity, the kinds of existential discussions that it has bred regarding the afterlife, and whether the magocracy has any kind of influence, magical, intellectual, or otherwise, in how the people of Cadus perceive matters and traditions dealing with death? Also, is there any funeral traditions of the highborn status different from those of lower? Any traditions left? ?
That's a lot of questions in one question. But we will answer all of them.
Real quickly, when the veil went up, and still to this day, nobody knows of the veil. It is a meta-knowledge that players must know due to its just consequential effect on the world at large. But nobody's like, oh man, when the veil went up, that sure sucked.
That saved everybody. No, nobody knows this.
Literally one day, the armies of the high heavens and the burning hells were just duking it out, and the next day, many of them dropped dead, and the other ones lost their powers, and then the valiant armies of the Dragonborn slaughtered many of them and saved the day. Nobody knows what did it, and in fact, most people have the general belief that the gods abandoned us, either due to our hubris, we upset them.
I mean, the Planar Wars ravaged so much of the material plane because extraplanar forces were constantly summoned and brought in until the point where, you open the floodgate too many times, the dam just breaks open and the water keeps coming in whether you want it to or not. That kind of happened during the Planar Wars. It was a war over petty reasons that just exploded into
biblical
proportions. And the angels and the demons and devils were just like, fuck your reasons, we're just going to go fight each other because that's just what we do.
Yeah, if you weren't a part of the problem, if you weren't part of the solution, you were part of the problem. Which is why ultimately angels were as bad as the devil. It's not the point.
Yeah. But the point remains that nobody knows, the common man and woman in Cadus does not know about the veil. Which is a mystery.
To which is why religion has still clung on so hard, because many people still to this day believe that they can regain the favor of the gods. Again, look at real life. I mean, I'm an atheist, so I shouldn't be saying this.
Right. But the point that, coming from a different perspective, yes, the divine casters lost their powers. The paladins and the clerics lost their powers. That does not mean that, but that does not mean that every podunk dirt farmer in Cadus was a cleric or a paladin. So how are they to know? They just hear hearsay that, the priest lost his powers. Well, maybe because the gods abandoned us. Well, naturally, abandoning faith isn't the logical conclusion right after that.
Nobody really does that.
No, it's you cling for reasons like that, and you make it internalized. Oh, it's our fault. We messed it up. We have to do better now.
Those druids did it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was propaganda. Anyway, but that is the
It
concept.
sounds like a communist to me.
But that is a concept to run with. Faith is still very real and alive. While it is more or less culminated into one of the three faith groups that we've described, whether it's the Living Flame, the Tribunal, which is the state faith, or the Old Gods, people are still faithful. People still go to their services and still pray to their shrines and do these things.
Basically, it's business as usual. Obviously, many of the mages have focused their study in the arcane to the point that belief in mages has kind of hit the wayside. But again, if you look at the top 10% of the scientists in the world, they're all irreligious or straight-up atheists.
Yeah.
Because why would you believe in the fairy tale, pardon my language, why would you believe in a fairy tale when you believe in the Big Bang and all these other scientific events that are,
Side note, guy who did the Human Genome Project, born-again Catholic. Not even joking. Yeah, did a lot of great work. Anyway.
So, second part of that question is existential discussions. We just did that.
Yep.
Has the Magocracy had any influence on how the people of Cadus perceive matters? In
dealing with death, specifically.
dealing with death? Alright,
Yes.
well, then I will not give away what I was going to say.
No, more or less, again, religion is still alive. As a result of this, it's funeral traditions, if there were any. We have not gone into the exact, specifications of how a funeral is done by the Tribunal, by the Old Gods, by the other methods.
I can, and in fact, we've worked on it a little bit with at least the Cult of the Living Flame.
Well, the Living Flame is that's a special case, but more or less, religious customs that the Tribunal, the Old Gods, and yada yada have had are still relevant. Again, nobody knows that the veil is up. Divine casters knew something was wrong, but the common man does not. So again, business as usual. Religious practices still occur in Cadus. It's a common occurrence.
Right. Also, I should clarify a fact. The Tribunal is not necessarily the state religion because it's not like...
It's not monitored by the state or anything. It's the
majority.
Yeah, the national faith.
It is Christianity in America. America has freedom of religion, so you can be whatever you want. But, 60% of the people are Christian.
It is the majority of what people believe in Cadus.
So again, if you want any traditions, you got to go to your local church, temple, or mosque, or synagogue.
And ask. It could be culturally locked or religiously locked.
Realistically speaking, if you want to know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I think the director wants us to take a break. Do we want to do that? Do we want to cut it off here and then pick up the... It's 4 more questions.
4 more questions. Yeah, we're gonna continue this. Well, let's finish this one up, and then we'll go on to the next one.
All right, I think that's a good idea. All right, so you get one more, and that is, are the funeral traditions of highborn statuses different than those of the lower? Are there any traditions? Left. Yes, tradition is still very clung to in this world, even though many races have come in and a lot of those have assimilated, very much like America. Mm-hmm. The core tradition of the Tribunal, or whatever faith you're practicing, most likely the Tribunal, still is at hand. Yeah. In terms of the rich versus the poor, I mean, ultimately that's a question I can't answer. That's entirely based on the person's wishes and who died. I mean, I know some people who are cremated and some people who are buried with very strict Catholic.
Yeah, some
faiths.
people. When I die, I want to be cremated and put into a flower pot.
Put me in a tree.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Or I want a pyramid built in my name. Okay, well let's scale it down from a pyramid, but we can get you a mausoleum.
Remember me.
I'm a wizard. Oh well, maybe we can get you a pyramid then.
He dies. They just jettison it into space. There. Fuck you.
But yeah, again, think of the real world with the way funerals are done. Some can be very, some is a cedar box in the backyard, and others are, here is my glorious solid platinum jewel encrusted coffin.
Yeah, here's a mausoleum built for this one guy versus just here's a ditch full of 30.
By the way, a mausoleum is also a mansion that my family lives in. That does occur. The mages in this world, the Magocracy, the wizards, and those highborn people have the resources and have the funds and really have the power to do this.
Hey, just like real life.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's okay.
No, it's not.
It's not.
We're just Rome. We're so boned.
Anyway. Weird. we're going to wrap up this part 1 of the questions video here. We will address the last 5 questions, in the next video, and we will be quicker about it because we realize that we may have dawdled and looped in this one. Enjoy the conversation.
It's the wine.
Yeah, that's... Yay, booze. So we will see you in the next one.
That being said, for those that have yet to guess our characters, hurry up. We're starting the lottery process already. So while we're not giving you a set deadline, because that's kind of a douche you can do, get them in as soon as you can, because as we move on to the next step of the lottery, those that didn't pass part 1 are cut.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like I said before, see you in the next one.
What is a man?
No, it's not.